my great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Wallena Gould. In this 250th anniversary year of revolutionary Rutgers University, I was determined to find a commencement speaker who exemplified revolutionary nursing leadership. When I met Dr. Gould earlier this year at her induction into the American Academy of Nursing and heard about her work, I knew that I had hit the jackpot. Dr. Gould is the chief nurse anesthetist at Main Line Endoscopy Centers and founder of the nonprofit Diversity in Nurse Anesthesia Mentorship Program. In this program, Dr. Gould and her nurse anesthesia colleagues from across the country mentor registered nurses from underserved populations to successfully matriculate into nurse anesthesia educational programs. Over the past 10 years, Dr. Gould's program has been a powerful force in diversifying enrollment in 54 graduate nurse anesthesia programs in the United States. As a result, over 400 alumni from her program are now certified registered nurse anesthetists, CRNAs, and are eagerly paying it forward by working as mentors in Dr. Gould's program. Dr. Gould is one of only 25 CRNA fellows of the American Academy of Nursing and the first CRNA of color to be inducted. She is the immediate past chair of the Diversity Task Force for the American Association of Nurse Anesthetists and a member of Sigma Theta Tau, the International Honor Society of Nursing, since 2004. She began her nursing career in 1994 as a graduate of Gloucester County College and subsequently earned a Master of Science degree in nurse anesthesia from LaSalle University in 2004 and Doctor of Education degree from Wilmington University in 2013. Although we can't claim her as a Rutgers-Camden alumni, we will soon claim her daughter Pauline, who is a rising senior and shining star in our baccalaureate program. Dr. Gould, please join me at the podium to share your story of revolutionary nurse leadership with our graduates and their guests.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the comments that you made, Dean Robinson. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chancellor Haddon, Dean Robinson, Board of Trustees, Board of Governors, distinguished family, distinguished faculty, guests, family, friends, and of course, the Rutgers University School of Nursing graduating class of 2016. I'm very proud of you. I am truly honored to speak at the graduation ceremony as Rutgers University celebrates its 250th anniversary under the progressive theme of Revolutionary Rutgers. In keeping with the theme, the Dean introduced me earlier as a revolutionary nurse leader, as the founder and CEO of the Diversity in Nurse Anesthesia Mentorship Program, Chief CRNA, Chair of the Diversity Task Force for the American Association of Nurse Anesthetists, and the first African-American CRNA to be inducted as a Fellow of the American Academy of Nursing. These are indeed awesome achievements and one has earned in one's lifetime, but I will never forget for whence I came from in East Orange and Englewood, New Jersey. Still, I remain humble as a revolutionary nurse leader and often share my personal story as a first-generation undergraduate student and single mother on welfare who lived solidly by a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King, as it states, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." So what do I mean by this quote? Well, I was 20 years old with my 14-month-old son when my mother abruptly kicked me out of the house in the middle of a winter storm. I was simply too tired to be argumentative and too afraid to stand up and appeal to stay just one more day. So I packed as much as I can, and I placed our coats on with tears running down my cheeks. I walked down the steps from her apartment with a small child on one hip and 2 plastic bags and a diaper bag on the other. I was homeless for 3 excruciating months before finding subsidized housing. So I learned to crawl, walk and run towards a college education, which ultimately saved my life. Mindfully, I knew that a college education would open opportunities for me to become financially independent and support myself and my son. Yes, it was a dark time for me as my mother lived only 6 blocks away, knowing we had a profound fractured relationship. Despite all the adversity, along with my strong faith in God, I had my second family to fall back on, such as the Educational Opportunity Fund program at Fairleigh Dickinson University. Fairleigh Dickinson University and the EOF program afforded me grants to help pay for my educational costs. More importantly than financial assistance received, I became a part of a family that provided critical support to my success. In college, I was an accounting major at the time. Trust me, I wanted to select nursing as a major, but did not have access to a car to get to the clinical sites required as a nursing student. So permit me to share with you on how, as an undergraduate student at Fairleigh Dickinson University, I received 2 letters by outside organizations within a week of each other that resulted in finding my voice as a future leader and how it changed my professional trajectory. During the spring semester, I received the first letter from the Bergen County Welfare Department. The letter stated that I was required to attend a meeting with representatives of the Welfare Department. Non-attendance may have resulted in the loss of welfare benefits in the amount of $273 a month and $114 in food stamps. The intent of this particular meeting was to hear from a select group of welfare recipients about a new back-to-work program called REACH, Realizing Economic Achievement. Honestly, I was rather annoyed to attend this obligatory meeting for 2 very good reasons. First, I had to miss 4 classes on that scheduled day. And second, I had to take public transportation via 2 buses at this remote site in Paramus, New Jersey. I arrived early and found out there were 2 other welfare recipients in the waiting room. I surveyed the room and noticed immediately I was the only minority welfare recipient during this inquiry. The panelists from the Bergen County Welfare Department sat directly across from the 3 of us who were all mailed the same letter. The senior director thanked us for coming to the meeting and further explained and appreciated our perspective on placing welfare recipients in the workforce early after receiving benefits. Then they asked each welfare recipient the same question as they were busily writing notes from our responses. So on my far left side, they directed the first question to the single mother welfare recipient panelists. The first question went like this, as it resonated with contemplating my own career aspiration at the time. Tell us, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? The first woman struggled in her response and had difficulty in articulating her future plans. So they made it somewhat quite easier for her by reducing the time limit to just 1 year. Tell us, where do you see yourself 1 year from now? Then, she quickly responded, she could apply to the Harris School of Business and become a secretary and earn a certificate if she only had the money. Then they posed the same question to the woman in the middle, and she responded that she too heard about the Harris School of Business and desired to be a court stenographer in less than 1 year. Now let me just give you a background about the Harris School of Business. It was in Hackensack, New Jersey, and it's a proprietorship school. So anyone attending to that institution, you were not getting grants for that, and you were only getting a certificate, and you were taking out considerable loans. So again, like I said, I was annoyed, right? So just listen to my response. Finally, they asked me the same question, and I responded in this way. Actually, I can answer where I would be in 5 years. They all nodded for me to proceed. In 5 years, I'm going to graduate my bachelor's degree and then apply and graduate from law school and hire this one as my secretary and this one as my court stenographer. Well, no one laughed. No one. And all writing ceased from the panelists, and the meeting was suddenly adjourned. Let me tell you, that's when I learned on that day I had an inner voice to advocate on my own behalf and immerse myself in school to excel academically, regardless of outside intentions or lack of family support. Soon after, I took the bus home and was able to go back to campus and attend my last class of the day. In stark contrast, a second letter was delivered to my apartment during the same week from Ernst & Young, an international accounting, auditing, and tax company on Park Avenue in New York City. It was for a firm job offer to accept a summer auditing internship position. Now you tell me, which letter had more prospects for myself and my son? To this day, it has laid the foundation for my success and to jump at every opportunity for educational and professional attainment. I earned a bachelor's degree in accounting from Fairleigh Dickinson University and worked a full year as an auditor for Ernst & Young on Park Avenue in New York City. Thereafter, I married my husband, Carlos Gould, and decided to change careers and finally matriculate into Gloucester County College School of Nursing. My dear future nurse colleagues, this is where I learned to walk with deeper conviction in completing my college journey. Yes, I finally purchased a car necessary for my travel to clinical sites at different hospital locations as a nursing student. And for the first time, I felt free in my educational journey and knew nursing was going to be my career, not just a job. Again, I excelled academically, passed nursing board on the first attempt, and secured my first position as an operating room nurse. It was in the operating room where I learned that registered nurses were trained in graduate programs to administer anesthesia. In nursing school, I didn't know nurses were trained to administer anesthesia for scheduled and emergent procedures. A few years later, I left the operating room to secure critical care experience, which is necessary for admission criteria in the graduate nurse anesthesia program. Next, I applied and was accepted into LaSalle University Nurse Anesthesia Program, where I found an even stronger advocate voice and surfaced as a leader with a true calling unbeknownst to myself. After 1 year as a nurse anesthesia student, the program director assigned a poster project on anything related to nurse anesthesia. Unfortunately, during this time, I witnessed a minority nurse anesthesia student fail out one of the nurse anesthesia programs. There were only a few nurse anesthesia students of color in the Philadelphia 6 graduate nurse anesthesia programs, and there were no full-time minority faculty in any of the Philadelphia graduate nurse anesthesia programs. So I decided to do a poster project on diversity in nurse anesthesia, or the lack thereof. In order to find out more information about the racial ethnic composition of the nurse anesthesia profession, I contacted the American Association of Nurse Anesthetists, headquartered in Illinois, and requested a copy of the profile list. A week later, I received a state-by-state compilation of the racial composition of nurse anesthetists across the country. Then I surveyed nurse anesthesia students from the 6 nurse anesthesia programs in the Philadelphia area about their racial and ethnic composition from each cohort. Surprisingly, the racial demographics of the profession mirrored the Philadelphia area's nurse anesthesia students. In 2004, over 90% of the 37,000 nurse anesthetists nationwide were white Caucasian. As an aggregate, only 9% were minority CRNAs. This newfound data was placed on the poster accompanied with pictures of a diverse cohort of nurse anesthesia students from LaSalle University of Nursing. I earned a stellar grade for the project, but knew something was terribly wrong and felt the need to do something about it. So I just mentored the next cohort of nurse anesthesia students from diverse backgrounds. Myself and 3 other minority nurse anesthesia students met with them 4 months prior to matriculating and spoke about the true rigors of the program, balancing family and finances, and shared reading material in advance of starting the program. All of these newly accepted nurse anesthesia students of color eventually graduated and stated that mentorship was critical to their success. During this time, I was blessed to have a wonderful mentor, Dr. Arthur Zwirling, CRNA, who was the program director of the University of Pennsylvania Nurse Anesthesia Program. I shared with him about my poster project, and he simply told me to think outside the box and to do what no one else was doing in the nurse anesthesia community in regards to diversity. And he said that to me knowing there was no one else out there as a CRNA doing anything about diversity. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that, really. So I began to mentor others along the way. Dr. Zwirling wonderfully mentored me in developing relationships with stakeholders and shaping my professional goal towards doctoral education and diversity initiatives. Again, I learned the value of mentorship as this solidified my purpose in life. A simple project led to the development of a national mentorship program, the Diversity Nurse Anesthesia Mentorship Program. This is a nonprofit organization and went from poster project to a nonprofit organization that have successfully mentored over 400 diverse nurses from all races and ethnic backgrounds to matriculate into 55 out of the 114 graduate nurse anesthesia programs. Presently, these diverse group of CRNAs work in level 1, 2, and 3 medical centers, community hospitals, outpatient surgery, and endoscopy centers. In addition, in the last 5 years, they have been hired as faculty members, chief CRNAs, clinical coordinators, owners of anesthesia services, and exceptionally proud that 4 CRNAs from the Hispanic and African American community became presidents of their respective state anesthesia associations. Also, many of these CRNAs of color from across the country are currently enrolled or completed doctoral programs, DNP, DNAP, EDD, PhD, in programs such as the University of Massachusetts, Duke University, NYU, and Case Western University. That's just to name a few of those that went to these particular types of programs. In the past year, I was appointed chair of the AANA Diversity Task Force by the president of the American Association of Nurse Anesthetists, Dr. Juan Quintana, CRNA, to strategically increase diversity and inclusion initiatives for the nurse anesthesia profession and graduate nurse anesthesia programs. We have made great strides in increasing workforce diversity in nurse anesthesia, as well as impacting cultural competence to our diverse patient population and reduction of racial and health disparities. My dear nursing colleagues, when you leave after the graduation ceremony this afternoon, please remember, there are leaders who strive for excellence and climb up the ladder to achieve success, and that's okay. Many people that I know have done that. But more importantly, as a transformational leader, I am grateful for being at the bottom of the ladder, holding it firmly for others to rise above to reach their greatest potential. Thus far, all of my experience taught me that revolutionary and transformational leaders are genuine leaders who are persistent and committed to making profound change. And what do I mean by genuine leader? Again, Dr. Martin Luther King said it best. A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. So I want all of you to think of yourself as gatekeepers and agents of change to become transformational leaders in nursing. I was never told in nursing school that I have the potential to be great. I did not know walking down the steps from my mother's apartment with a small child on my hip in the bitter cold would lead me to write and defend a prolific doctoral dissertation. I did not know that I was going to change the face and culture of the nurse anesthesia profession, but I do know that all of you can be change agents in nursing. And I do know the foundation laid in the undergraduate and graduate programs at Rutgers University School of Nursing instilled your inner advocate voice and ultimate purpose in life. All of you, no matter what race or ethnic background, will be in different nursing fields: obstetrics, emergency room, operating room, PACU, psychiatric, critical care, medical surgical, and pediatrics, and a cohort of advanced practice nurses will advance as clinical doctorates with the notable doctorate in nurse practice. Hopefully, you will become faculty members, administrators, entrepreneurs, researchers, or even perhaps a nurse anesthetist. Every single one of you have the potential to make a difference in the life of another nurse, or a group of nursing colleagues, or an entire profession. I am a firm believer that all of you have the tools to become a leader and a molder of consensus in the field of nursing. Finally, as a revolutionary nurse leader, I know I have built an incredible legacy in the nurse anesthesia profession. The question is, what will yours be in nursing? Thank you very much.